Welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Quitting, where we are focusing on quitting the habits that no longer serve us so that we can elevate our health, our habits, and our happiness. I am your host. My name is Gentry. I'm a divorced mom to 4 boys, and I am addicted to quitting. I am obsessed with the idea of quitting because quitting is where you'll find your fear. And if you can face your fear, then you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish in your life. So today I want to talk to you guys about the importance of a morning routine. And how it can really help you set your day up for success. So we're going to talk about the morning routine. We're going to talk about how we can start with the nighttime routine. I'm going to talk about a little bit of my experience with the morning routine and things that I did that helped me get sober, that helped me get healthy, that helped me get more productive in my days, and give you some tips and tricks on your journey in creating a healthier morning routine for you. So if this sounds like something that you need help with, stick around because I am going to guide you on this morning routine journey. Welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited that you're here. If you are watching this on YouTube, check out my sign. It's not up yet. It's just leaning up against there. Let me move my chair a little bit. Look at it. It's so cute. It says I quit. And the font for this is Brittany, which is my sister's name. So I feel like I'm shout out to my sister, who is the complete opposite of me. She's dark hair, fair skin. She's no kids, no marriage, or not married. She by choice. She doesn't want to be married. She's a scientist. She doesn't want, I'm just, lives in the city. And I'm like, hi, I'm your little sister. And I have 4 kids. I have never really been not in a relationship. I have a house in the middle of the country, or not, I don't live in the country, but I live in a smaller town. And I love sharing my words with the world. She is very, very private. She probably doesn't even like that I just said her name, but the font name was Brittany. And I was like, hey, I'm one of those people that has to have a reason for everything. Is anybody else like this? My tattoos have 7 different meanings, and everything's so deep and personal. I have to sometimes I can take it too far, but, I like little coincidences like that. I like this font. I like the name of this font. So therefore I'm going to choose this font because it makes me feel like I'm shouting out my sister and all she's done for me, because she is literally the most loyal person in this entire world. I have been wrong. I could be dead wrong. I could be telling people that I 2 + 2 = 5. And I'm sitting there spouting off nonsense, and she would be behind me and be like, yeah, what she said. Super loyal. She always has your back. So anyways, I didn't do this episode or start this episode to talk about my sister as much as I love her, or about my sign, which I'll link if you guys want. But I came to talk to you guys about morning routines. Why? Because morning routines are something that I feel really started my road to recovery. And I mean, my road to recovery was long, you guys. I can't say that morning routines is what got me sober. I'm just saying that towards the end of actually making the shift to sobriety, there were some things that I did with my morning routine that really did help. But my journey to recovery started, and I think that this is important for you guys to understand. My journey to recovery, I feel truly started, me trying to get up that hill to sobriety, started when I was 19 years old, and I went to an AA meeting because I had a really dicey night the night before and was super embarrassed and super ashamed and felt super uncomfortable and violated, and it was not good. And I knew alcohol played a huge role in that. And I went to an AA meeting at 19 years old, just cried, sat in the back. I didn't say anything, but I feel that was one step up the mountain to sobriety. And there's so many times over the 10 years of my addiction that I was taking those steps, but I was getting freaking flies. They're almost all dead, guys. The flies are driving me crazy. I feel I've talked about the flies on every episode for the last, I don't know, 10 episodes, maybe not 10. That's a lot. But, when I got arrested for a DUI, I quit drinking for 5 months, and I was super proud of myself during that. And I was but it was a couple steps up the mountain, and then I would take a couple steps back, and then I would take a couple steps up, and I would start my I was on binges, and I would Fly is it now knows that I'm onto him. Maybe he wants to be on the podcast. I wish I could interview a fly. Like, why are you so annoying? Anyways, I did all these things, and I think that like that people think that like, oh my gosh, you got sober because of X, Y, and Z in that last year. No, I got sober because I was taking steps towards sobriety. I knew alcohol didn't serve me, and I just didn't have enough tools in my tool belt to really lean into sobriety until that final day. But something that really helped me at the end of this 11-year journey of addiction, off and on, was that I really leaned into starting my day off strong. And starting my day off strong at that time was with a really, really small act of making my bed every day. And if you've listened to my story, if you've listened to some of my other podcasts, I think I've talked about this. But when I first got sober, when I was trying to get sober, actually, what I'll say is when I was trying to get sober, I wanted all of the things that I wanted to fix at the exact same time. Like at the time, I was the heaviest that I had ever been. I'm now currently, right now, the heaviest I've ever been because love happened and late 30s happened. And apparently now you start to like gain weight in your stomach and not in your ass. I'm so perplexed by this. Like I have to like work to get my booty back. It used to just automatically straight go there. And now my stomach is like, I'm like, why are we bloated all of a sudden? Why is there like, what is this happening here? I also eat more now. I used to be like, I'm like borderline, maybe anorexic, not anorexic, but like under 8. Anyways, so back then though, that was the heaviest I'd ever been. I was like, okay, I don't like being this heavy. I need to lose weight. Wish I was that heavy now. But I don't like being this heavy. I need to get healthy. I want to be more present with my kids. I want to take better care of my skin. I want to be more consistent with my workouts and my food. I want to meal prep. I want to have my house is a mess. I want my house cleaner. So I was like, I'm going to be more organized, and I would do all these things. I would set this big, super, super big goal of like, okay, I haven't been doing any of these things, mind you, like besides working out off and on, like I always kind of have worked out. But I wasn't being consistent with that. So I was like, I'm going to work out consistently. And I would go like the extreme too. I'd go from like hardly like working out a couple times a week to be like, I'm gonna work out twice a day because I want to lose all this weight really fast. I'm gonna work out twice a day. I'm gonna meal prep. I'm gonna organize the space in my house every day. I'm gonna be more present with my kids. I'm gonna wash my face. I'm gonna do a face washing routine. I'm gonna do all these things. And I'm not gonna drink alcohol on top of that. So I would set these like really big goals and expectations of myself, and I would do them for a short period of time, and then I would get burnt out because I'm having all of these things are new. And I don't know if you've ever like learned something new, but learning something new is freaking exhausting. And so as I'm trying to learn these things, these new things that I'm trying to implement all at once, and try to rewire my brain to like automatically want to do these things, which I hate to break it to you guys, but habits that are actually going to be good for you probably aren't going to be the ones that are going to be like super automatic. Like the default, even today, I've been working on healthy habits for years. And even today, the healthy habits are still work. Like there's still work. And I think that we have this like false like misconception that like if I'm doing this consistently, all of a sudden I'll be able to get up and run 20 miles without even thinking. Like I'll just automatically like, I'm stressed out, I'm going to go run. Which there is a thought process of like, I'm stressed out, what do I want to do? But like my default habits, my default coping mechanisms are real automatic and real unhealthy, and they're easy because unhealthy is easy. And my brain likes easy. My brain is like, we could go work out, Gentry, or we can watch Real Housewives and eat Cheez-Its in bed. And I think that would be easier because that bed is right there. And the working out, we'd have to like change our clothes. We'd have to go move our body. We'd have to like drive. We'd be tired. So doing unhealthy habits are super, super easy. So I was trying to do all these new healthy habits all at once and was failing consistently, which I should have known now that I actually teach on habits, now that I'm working on habits consistently. I understand the importance of like baby steps and consistency. But at the time, I thought that like my willpower would be enough, my drive will be enough, I'll be able to just push through and do all these things. And I wasn't. So, no surprise. But what I decided was that because I was defaulting back to all these really unhealthy habits, and I'd go back to binge drinking, and I'd go back to eating gobs of food while binge watching TV and not cleaning my house and laying on the couch all day and missing work and all these things, I decided that I was just going to start really, really small. And I started by making my bed every day. And if you've listened to me on other podcasts, if you've heard a little bit more about my story, you guys know that this is kind of something that I talk about with my road to recovery, was starting small with making my bed every day. I didn't start with quit drinking alcohol, because quitting drinking alcohol had gotten to, it was so automatic in my mind and so automatic in my behaviors, that the idea of quitting it, and like how many times I'm on 11 years. I mean, plus there was times before probably that first time I went to rehab, or it's not rehab, AA. Rehabs happened at 21. First AA meeting 19, rehab was at 21, DUI was at like 25, 26, blacking out with the kids in the car was 29, finally got sober at, I drank and drove for all of that. But anyways, but where were we? Over that whole span of like, I don't really think alcohol's healthy for me, there was hundreds of times that in my mind I said, I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore, or I'd make commitments to not drink alcohol anymore, and I'd break those commitments to myself. And I talk about this, breaking commitments to yourself, in an episode just a few back, probably 24 to 25, but we talk about like how important it is to build confidence in ourselves. So if we say we're going to do something and we don't do it, we are creating patterns and habits in our mindset. So we don't realize that there's so many habits that are actually tied into our mindset, or patterns that are tied into our mindset, of like, if you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, it's like putting a book on your bookshelf saying like, this is the type of person that I am. This is the type of person that I am. This is the type of person that I am. And then when I went to the library, in my mind, I was like, okay, here, I'm ready to quit drinking. And it's like, hey, this whole bookshelf is you saying you're going to do that shit and then not following through. Like, we don't have tools or resources for you to actually do the damn thing. All we have is like evidence of like, have you, like, I was a CPA, and I worked as a controller, and I also worked in public accounting, and like, we had to like, it's kind of like being an attorney. Like, being a public accountant is literally like being an attorney, which I didn't realize when I went into accounting. I thought, I want to be an accountant because I like numbers and I like money. I do not want to be an attorney. I do not want to do like research, but we would have to like set precedent, like be like, okay, this based off of this tax law or this tax ruling or whatever, like, this person is allowed to do this because of X, Y, and Z. And it was, so that's how it was going to my library in my brain, though. It was like, that's great, Gentry, that you say you want to not pay taxes, but all the books up here on this bookshelf says that you pay taxes. Like, all the books on my bookshelf said, when you say you're going to do something, you're full of shit, and we actually know that you're going to just, like, your emotions will change soon, and you're going to do the same thing that you did in the past. And so when I was trying to do all these things at once, I was having to overcome that mindset for way too many things. Like, it was like pushing a huge boulder. And I decided that I needed to start small, and I needed to just kick a pebble across the road. I needed to keep like baby steps. So I didn't start with addiction, because over those 10, 11, 12 years of saying that I was going to quit drinking and then not doing it, my brain didn't trust that one. My brain was like, yeah, we don't believe you, Gentry. You're going to end up drinking again. So all I said I was going to do was make my bed. And I started with my morning routine, because at that time, I was missing a lot of work for being depressed. And I was genuinely sick a lot. Like, I don't want my employers coming at me that, I mean, I don't work there anymore, but I genuinely was sick a lot, because I had just had twins in April, and they weren't even a year old yet for that first year. And I was drinking alcohol, which was killing the good bacteria and wrecking my immune system. But I was sick because my body was just worn down. I'm not sleeping because I have twin infants. I'm drinking on top of that. So I'm like just not taking care of my body. So every bug that my other two brought home, because they were in kindergarten and preschool at the time, or first grade and preschool at the time, everything they brought home, I was getting sick. But when I was home, I was also drinking and using it as an excuse to just be a shitty person. So I was sick a lot, but I was missing a lot of work, and I was like capitalizing on being sick. And during that time, I found myself being super depressed and either going to work for short periods of time and leaving, or when I went to work, I ended up coming home at the end of the day and just being like in my bed. So I was spending a ton of time in my bed depressed. So the idea was, if I make my bed, that means I got out of my bed, which sounds so silly, but it was like in my head, I was like, oh, just make your bed. Just make your bed. It takes minutes, if that even. Just make your bed every day. If you make your bed every day, at least that means you got out of it today. So I started making my bed every day. And when I made my bed every day, other magical things started to happen. I started to be a little bit more organized. I started to feel a little bit more successful at the end of the day. I started to really start to think about really following through on this alcohol thing, because when I said I was going to do something, I actually did it. And it was like starting to fill my library with a little bit more positive thought processes of myself, a little bit more like my mindsets were just like, I'm giving a little bit more evidence that if I say I'm going to do something, I actually follow through. Another thing that making my bed every day did for me was it started my day off on a win. And by starting my day off on a win, I was able to start building confidence in myself that I can actually win. So there's two parts to this. It's like, one, why making your bed is why follow through, right? Which we talked about in the other episode of like, you say you're going to do it, do it. But something that's really powerful about doing that in the morning is that if we say we're going to do something and then we do it in the morning, guess what? We just gave us our one vote for the day that we're successful, that we follow through, that we do what we say we're going to do. If I said I was going to make my bed and then in the morning I don't follow through on that, the very first things I'm telling myself, the mindset that I'm having, the conversation that I'm having in my head is that I'm starting this day off as a failure. I'm starting my day off as somebody that doesn't follow through. I can't even get one fucking thing right. Oh, watch my language. I can't get one freaking thing right? Like you're hard on yourselves. When we say we're going to do something and we don't do it, and we start our day off with that, we're starting the day off by talking crap to ourselves. And so for me to be able to start the day off and that positive energy of like following through and giving myself one vote of like, I'm not a failure, was huge for me to be able to have more wins like that throughout the day. So I want to give you guys, actually, I'm going to gift you guys, anyone that's listening to this, I'm going to give you my 7-day habit reset. I don't want you to do everything that it says to do in this habit reset. I want you to do what works for you, but this is an opportunity for you to start every single day on a win. So like, I think it's really, really important for us to implement health, habits, and happiness, or brains, body, and beliefs. So however, I have different ways of saying it, but same type of idea of like, what are we doing for our physical health? What are we doing for our emotional health? What are we doing for our productivity? And so I talk about that and how we can start our day off by not just starting our day off with a win, but starting our day off to be productive and to do these things. Because by making my bed every day, it did help me have a little bit cleaner house. It did help me have like some snowball effect, and that did help my productivity. That did help my organization, and it did help these things. But the goal wasn't to do all those things yet. Now when I talk about my morning routine, now I want to get a little bit deeper. I want to have what kind of healthy habit do I want to have in the routine? How do I want to start my day off with my health? How do I want to start my day off with my routines and structures and organization? How do I want to start my day off with my happiness, my beliefs, my mindsets, right? So how do I want to start my day off, and not just checking the boxes, but on leveling up in those boxes? And I think that like that's advanced. And I want you guys to understand that. I want you to start where you are. Like at the beginning of recovery, at the beginning of my journey to get sober, which I started making my bed every day in like February. and I didn't get sober till May, which again, this was like a 12-year journey of like, I'm going to do rehab. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all these different things to try and get sober. I got arrested for a DUI. I stayed sober for like 5 months. I was so proud of myself. And then something happened and I went back down the rabbit hole. So it was a journey of several things that got me to the point to finally tip the scale into sobriety. But at the end, really building that confidence in myself was a game changer. I really believe that was a game changer. And starting with the morning set me up for success for the day. Because if you are going to have a shiznits day, and then at the end of the day, try to be like, I'm going to have gratitude practice, and that's what's going to help me be better. It's like, that might help. Yes, gratitude does help. I talk about gratitude in my coaching, with my clients. But I think starting your day off on the right foot, for me personally, was a great place for me to start, because I knew that, it snowballed into the rest of the day. I wasn't waiting for the end of the day to like do the damn thing. I started first thing, giving myself that vote of success. So I want to give you guys a free, I usually charge for it, but I'm not charging anyone that's listening to this. There's a free link below, with 100% off for a morning reset. It's 7 days. It walks you through each day. It gives you different ideas of things that you can implement, but starting your day off on the right foot is going to help you be more successful throughout the day. Starting the day off by saying you're going to do something and then actually doing it is going to help you be more successful throughout the day. And then let that snowball into other days. The worst thing that you can do is say you're going to do something though and not follow through. So if you are going to commit to doing a 7-day reset, if you're going to commit to waking up early, if you're going to commit to, with waking up early, I do in that 7-day reset give you tips and tricks on how to wake up early, to like retrain your brain on how to not hit snooze, the consequences of hitting snooze, how it's not good for you. Like, there is some education on habits and routines and how to break these habits in that 7-day reset. So make sure that you grab that link below. But I want you to commit to something. Like, I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with the morning routine. I don't want you to try to completely revamp it and have health, habits, and happiness and all these things like perfectly at the beginning. No, I want you to start small and I want you to stay consistent. So if for you it's just like, I'm just at least going to give myself 30 minutes before I get the kids up from school, get kids up for school. I want you to do it. I just want you to do it. I want you to have the grit to actually do it. Like, respect yourself enough to honor your word and start at night. Like, so many times we're like, okay, I'm going to do this. This is my game plan. But like, really set that tone of what you're going to do and what your expectations are of yourself in the morning and at night. Start the pep talk at night. Like, okay, I'm going to do this because I respect myself, because I don't want to set the tone for that. I don't follow through. I like envision your library the night before of like, what do I want in my library of tools and resources? Do I want my library and my case studies and everything to be like, the evidence shows that when you say you're going to do something, you don't follow through. It looks like you did it here and here and here and here and here and here. Or do you want to start filling that library, filling that database with like, when she says she's going to do something, she does it. I don't care if it's as small as making your bed. I don't care if it's as small as getting up 30 minutes early. I don't care if it's as small as not hitting the snooze button. Maybe if you get up, here's a pro tip, which actually I think I talk about this in the 7-day reset that I'm giving you guys. If you know that you hit the snooze button 17 times and you want to break the habit of hitting the snooze button, set your alarm for the time that you have to get up by first, so that you can break the snooze button bad habit first and then start taking back your time. So we don't have to do it all at once. You do not have to do it all at once. You don't have to break the snooze button habit. You don't have to break the not making your bed habit. You don't have to break the not working out in the morning habit. You don't have to break all these habits at once. Pick one habit that you know that you do consistently, and let's quit doing that first. And let's figure out what you need to do to quit doing that first. If it's something, you have to shift up the habit at some way or another to break that habit. And then once you shift up that habit, once you break that habit, figure out what you want to do next. Like, I'm addicted to quitting because I'm addicted to this process of like, now what? Now what? Now what? We don't have to do it all at once. Like, I quit one thing so that I can get that under like control. I take care of that. I break that habit so that I'm ready to quit the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. And that is where we find success. The consistency of continuous growth and productivity and trying to quit these things. The consistency of doing the damn thing instead of the how many we can do at once, or how fast we can do it, or how much willpower we can have to like change all this stuff. No, you really want change long term, you got to start small, baby. And I know nobody wants to hear that. If you want to make changes long term, you got to start small. You have to be willing to start small. So if you were willing to start small and go through this, start with this 7-day habit reset, morning routine reset, where we talk about different things that you could do, different tricks to overcoming the snooze button, different tricks to overcoming wanting the getting up a little bit earlier. Start by setting that mindset the night before, and then just start small. Do the little things. But if you can start your day off with a win, then you're going to set yourself up for a more confidence throughout the day. If you say you're going to do something, you say you're going to get up early, and you keep falling back into the same habits, you're putting these books on the bookshelf. You're putting these cases in your case studies. You're putting this in the database saying like, hey, when I say I'll do something, I don't always follow through. So stop, let's break that habit. Like today, I want you to break the habit of saying you're going to do things for your morning routine and then not doing it. I know you're tired. We're all tired. I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't. And I'm not saying that, and I'm right here telling you guys I'm not perfect with my morning routine, but a few weeks ago, I kept saying that I was going to work out in the morning, which isn't typically what I do. I don't usually work out in the morning. I usually work out after I take the kids to school, but my days are busier with work and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to start working out in the morning. For a full week, I said I was going to get up early to work out, and my habit isn't to do that. And so it was really uncomfortable, especially when I was tired. And so I wasn't doing it. And by the end of the week, I felt like shit, and nothing had changed in my schedule, besides the fact that I said I was going to work out in the mornings and that I didn't do it. So it was better for me to not even say that at all. Like if you aren't ready to make changes, don't talk about making changes. Because if you're not ready to actually put in the work, but you want to talk about making the changes, and you want to talk about what you're going to do, but you're not actually going to do it, you are actually hurting yourself more. And maybe you're needing to do that. Maybe sometimes we got to hurt ourselves a little bit more so we have a little bit higher pain in the game so that we're motivated to change, because pain is a great motivator. But if you're not going to actually follow through, stop telling yourself these things, because you're actually hurting yourself. You're hurting your confidence. You're creating these case studies of yourself that says like, hey, she doesn't mean it. She does not mean it. He doesn't mean it. He's not going to follow through. He says he's going to do it, but look at all this. Look at all this. This is the precedent. You take that to a judge. The judge is going to say, yeah, no, this sets precedent now. This, you don't follow through. Nope, we're voting. Nope, you're not going to follow through on this one too. So if you really want to make changes, you really have to be willing to take the uncomfortable action to do it. So the next week after I said I was going to work out, and found myself just feeling really depressed and feeling really crappy about myself, because again, nothing had changed in my schedule aside from the fact that I said I was going to do something and then I didn't follow through on it. And so the next week, I decided I was going to work out a few days out in the morning, and that I decided to incorporate my son. So having a buddy system, he wanted to work out. He wanted me to train him. And I was like, okay, now I have him to hold me accountable on those few days. I didn't do it every day. I wasn't going to force myself to work out every morning because I knew that was going to be overwhelming for me. But we decided on 2 days a week that I would get him up early and work out. And that gave me a little bit more time during the day, which was the ultimate goal. So I'm not working out during the day. I'm able to work during the day. But anyways, all of that to tell you guys that like nothing changed in my life except for the fact that I said I was going to do something and then I didn't make the change. So if you're not ready to make the change, if you're not really ready to actually implement the things that you say you're going to do, don't set yourself up for failure, because that's just going to make you feel worse about yourself. That's going to start creating these negative mindsets around yourself. So if you aren't ready to make these huge changes, you aren't ready to work out in the morning, you know that's going to be too much for you, start by just giving yourself 30 extra minutes to get up early. Get used to getting up early before you start implementing something else. But do whatever you're going to implement, whatever you're going to do, it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but do it. Like don't put something out there that's going to be so uncomfortable that you can't do it. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, your brain defaults to these other things. But whatever you say you're going to do, by golly, you do the damn thing. Got it? All right. So if you would like that free, I discounted it 100% off just for you guys for listening to this episode today. So if you want that morning routine reset, it's just 7 days. It walks you through different things you can do. It talks about the science behind morning routines and the science behind how to break some of these bad habits. But I'm giving it to you for free. So that is linked below. If you have any questions, make sure you always reach out to me. Make sure you follow me on all platforms. We have Life with Gentry. We have Life with Gentry on YouTube, Life with Gentry on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and we have Addicted to Quitting a podcast on Instagram as well. So make sure you follow all of that and stay up to date on what's going on with us and keep supporting me and my journey to helping you quit the things that no longer serve you. All right. Thank you for joining me today. You guys are my favorite quitters, and I'll see you next time.